Hello, algebra students. Today we will start our new unit, and we will be adding and subtracting polynomials. So first, let's go over some definitions that you need to have in your notes. First, a monomial. A monomial includes numbers and variables that are combined through multiplication. Examples would be -3, that's a coefficient, a number, plus some variables that are multiplied together. It could also just be a number by itself, like -9, or it could be a number multiplied by a single variable. These are called monomials. A binomial is the sum of two monomials, or it could be two monomials that are combined by either addition or subtraction. So it doesn't have to just be a sum, it could be a difference of two monomials. For example, you'd have 4x, which is a monomial, and 7, which is a monomial, put together by subtraction. So 4x minus 7, you have two terms that are put together by subtraction. 2x plus 9y, that's two terms put together by addition, and 2 plus 13x is two terms put together by addition. So they must be combined by a plus or a minus sign. A trinomial is the sum of three monomials. So three monomials that are combined by either addition or subtraction. Again, it doesn't have to just be the sum. You can have subtraction in there. And these are examples of trinomials. Tri meaning three. So a plus 2b plus 4c, that's three terms that are added together. This is three terms added together, and that's three terms added together. But remember, you can also have subtraction in there. So a polynomial is a monomial or sum of monomials. That's the true definition. All right, once those are in your notes, then we'll move on. Today we will add or subtract polynomials. So the first problem we have is this one here, and you could see that we have parentheses around the first binomial adding to the second binomial. When it's addition, all you're going to do is you're going to get rid of the parentheses here, just drop the parentheses, and then combine like terms. So you can see that's what we're going to do for this problem. So all you're going to do is drop the parentheses and then combine like terms. So you have 4x plus 3x, that makes 7x, and then a -5 plus 6 is +1. So this would be your answer. All right, so number 2, we're now subtracting. So we have a different rule for subtracting. So what you're going to do when you subtract is you're going to have to distribute this negative across the second term, and then you're going to combine like terms. So you're going to subtract, you're going to distribute the negative to the second term, and then drop the parentheses and combine like terms. So let's start. First, I drop the parentheses to the first term, and then I'm going to distribute the negative to the second polynomial. So I would get a -4x squared minus 3y squared. So now I need to combine any terms that are alike. Remember, like terms have the same variable and the same exponent to that variable. 1x squared plus -4x squared makes -3x squared. And then 1y squared minus 3y squared makes -2y squared. And that's really all you can do at this point. That would be the answer to the problem. Okay, so let's try a couple more. First we have addition, and with addition you have a polynomial or trinomial plus another trinomial. So all you're going to do is drop your parentheses and combine like terms. So let's do that. So we have 3x squared minus 5xy squared plus y cubed. So I just got rid of the parentheses for the first one. Then on the second one, notice I'm just going to drop the parentheses, but this one is negative, so I'm just going to put -3x squared minus 5xy squared minus y cubed. Now the tricky part here is figuring out what are the like terms. So I'm going to box in anything that's alike. Remember, it has to have the same variable with the same exponent. So first I see this is an x squared, 3x squared, then I have minus 3x squared, and there's no other x squareds by themselves. Well, these two cancel out, which is nice. Then I have negative 5xy squared, so I'm looking for an x and a y squared, and I have one right here. So I have a negative 5 plus a negative 5, that makes negative 10. Oh, I'm not very good at writing today. Xy squared. And then I have a y cubed, 1y cubed, minus 1y cubed, so they cancel each other out as well. So my answer to this problem would be negative 10xy squared. All right, let's try number 4. So number 4, you're subtracting. So the first thing I'm going to do in the first polynomial is I'm just going to rewrite it without the parentheses. So on that one, I just dropped the parentheses, and then I need to distribute a negative to the entire second polynomial. So I'm going to distribute that negative and change all the signs. So I get a negative 2x squared, and then I get a positive 8xy, and a negative 2y squared. Now all I do, my parentheses are gone, I've distributed the negative, so now I combine like terms. So I'm looking for an x squared. I find 6x squared, and then I have an 8. Oh, that is incorrect. So what I have is a negative 2x squared. Sorry about that. So 6 minus 2 is 4x squared. Now I have an xy, so I have 12xy, and then I have an 8xy. If I add those together, I have 20xy. And then my last term would be 4y squared positive minus 2y squared, so I'd get positive 2y squared. And that would be the answer when we subtract those trinomials. Okay, we have altogether, I believe there are 9 practice. So altogether, I think there are 9 practice problems. I don't know if I recorded that, so I don't know if I said that twice. All right, so now we're going to apply the skills that we're learning to some geometry problems involving perimeter. It says some of the measures of polygons are given. P represents the measure of the perimeter. Find the measure of the other sides. So here I have the perimeter of this triangle, and I have 2 sides, and I need to find the missing side. So there's 2 ways to do this. I could take this perimeter, and then I could subtract this side, get an answer, and then subtract this side. Or I could add these 2 together and then subtract from the perimeter. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add together 2x minus 3y, and this time I'm going to stack them since it's just adding and I don't have to worry about changing any signs or anything. So I'm just adding, and you've done this before with systems. So here I'd get 3x, and here I'd get negative y. So those 2 added together equals 3x minus y. Then I need to subtract. So now I'm going to subtract 5x plus 2y, and I'm going to subtract 3x minus y. Now it's very important that you use parentheses for this because you will have to distribute that negative. And that's one of the reasons I didn't stack it. You could stack it like this to subtract if you would like. So let's distribute the negative first along here, and then I'll combine like terms. So 5x plus 2y minus 3x plus y. Now I combine like terms. I have 5x minus 3x, that's 2x, and then I have 2y plus 1y, that makes 3y. So my answer to the missing side is 2x plus 3y. All right, let's try another one. For number 6, we have a rectangle, and it tells us the perimeter is given, and we need to know what this side is. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to subtract. The first thing that I need to realize is that I have 4 sides and that I have 2 sides that are 3x squared plus 5. So the first thing I want to do is add these two together, these two sides together, and then subtract them from the perimeter. So I have 3x squared plus 5 plus 3x squared plus 5. So I would get 10 here, and I would get 6x squared there. So I have 6x squared plus 10. The other thing you could have done is just multiplied by 2. So 2 times 3x squared is 6x squared, and 2 times 5 is 10. So that gives me those two sides. Now I know that I need to subtract this. So now I'm going to take and subtract 6x squared plus 10, and then I should divide it by 2, and I'm going to get the missing side. So now I'm going to take 14x squared plus 10x plus 12, and I'm going to subtract the 6x squared plus 10. And again, make sure you use parentheses because you have to distribute that negative. So first I will distribute the negative. Now I'm going to rewrite everything and then combine like terms. Alright, so there I've rewritten everything with distributing the negative. Now I combine the terms that are alike. 14x squared minus 6x squared is 8x squared. And then I only have one 10x, so 10x. And then I have a 12 and a negative 10, which makes positive 2. Now that's going to give me the sum of this side and that side together. So I have 2 of those that are the same. So now I need to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide this whole thing by 2. So to divide it by 2, all you do is take each term and divide it by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I have 4x squared. 10 divided by 2 is 5, so I have 5x. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the missing side is 4x squared plus 5x plus 1. Alright, number 7, you want to write the problem down. You have the sides of a triangle have these lengths, x plus 5, x minus 2, and 2x minus 4. And it says you want to find the perimeter of the triangles in terms of x. That just means I'm going to add everything together. So I'm just going to stack them to add because it's pretty simple. 2x minus 4. This isn't the only way to do it, but I'm just going to do that. So I have a negative 4 plus 5, that makes 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Then I have a 2x plus 1x, that's 3x, that makes 4x. So I have 4x minus 1. The other thing is you can just do that by looking at it over here. You have 1x plus 2x, that's 3x, plus another one, that's 4x. Then you have a 5. 5 minus 4 is 1, and 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Several ways you can do it. All right, that one's pretty easy. Let's do 2 more. Okay, write this problem down. It says find the perimeter of a pentagon that has 3 sides of length 2x plus 3 and 2 sides of length x minus 1. So the perimeter means we're going to add everything together. But I notice that you have 3 of them that are the same length, and 2 that are the same length. So what I would do is I would actually multiply instead of add the ones that are alike. I have 3 times 2x plus 3, and then I would have plus 2 times x minus 1. I'm going to add all of that together. Then I distribute and combine like terms. So this is what you should get when you distribute. Now we combine. So you should get 8x plus 7 once you do all of the work. All right, the last problem. All right, so let's write this one down. One rectangle has an area of this feet squared, and the second rectangle has an area of that feet squared. The question is, how many more square feet is the first rectangle? Well, how many more is our signal that we need to do what? Subtract. So we're just going to subtract the first rectangle's area minus the second area. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it. The first is the way that we've been doing it this lesson, which is you're going to put the second term in parentheses and distribute the negative across here, and then combine like terms. So that's what I'm going to do first. So there I've distributed the negative. So now I'm just going to combine. I get 3x squared minus 6x plus 13, and that's going to be my answer. So now I'm going to do it the stacking way. So I want you to have at least an experience with that. So the stacking way, you can stack them up as long as remember the variables are all lined up. You have the x squareds lined up, the x's lined up, your constant. So it has to be the same variables lined up. And then you're just going to subtract the coefficients. You just have to be careful. So I'll show you. 7 minus 4 will give me 3x squared. That's pretty simple. Then you have a negative 4 subtracting 2. So a negative 4 minus 2 is going to give me a negative 6x. And then you have 12 subtracting a negative 1. So if you have a 12 and you're subtracting a negative 1, that means you do keep, change, change. So 12 subtracting a negative 1 would give me plus 13. So you can do it the stacking method, you just have to be careful with your signs, and you still get the same answer. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed your lesson.